I'm Robert, one of the technicians here at Grady Veterinary Hospital. March is Poisonous Substances Month, so I wanted to cover potentially toxic materials that your pet could get into. The first one that I'd like to talk about, which seems to be the one we see the most, are chocolate, gum, and grapes or raisins. With chocolate, there's a couple of ingredients inside chocolate that will make your animal have a toxic reaction to them. One is theobromine, and the second is caffeine. Especially the dark and cocoa type chocolates that your pet could get into can really cause an elevated heart rate, can cause them to be excited. When we really get toxic on these guys, we can get into seizures and hyperthermia as they're seizuring. So you really want to stay away from the chocolate. The second one is the gum. Sugar-free gums have an ingredient called xylitol in it, which can be toxic to your pet's kidneys. We have seen quite a few of these animals come in. You know, mom runs into the store real quick, leaves her purse in the car, comes back, and the package of gum is gone. It's a really toxic substance. You wouldn't really think sometimes that gum could cause a potential toxicity in your pet. So really be careful of your gum. The second thing is grapes. Now these seem like they're very nutritious. They're easy. You can pull them off and pop them to your dog. It seems like a really nutritious treat to give to your dog. But some dogs do have a toxic reaction to grapes and raisins, where it can cause kidney failure in your pet as well. So really be careful. I would stay away from the grapes and raisins. The next thing that I'm going to cover is insecticides. We really don't think about this when we're spraying the yard or trying to kill that hornet's nest or laying out a little trap for a mouse that may be in your house or in your garage that's a pest to you. But potentially where you think your dog's not going to get into it is usually the place where they get into it. What potentially makes this toxic for your animal is if they eat this, rat poisons take the ability away for the blood to clot. It usually takes like 7 days before you're going to see any clinical signs with your pet once they get into a mouse or rat killer. But you really want to make sure that you get them treated as quickly as possible. The rat poisons usually take about a 7-day period before it starts working on the bloodstream to take away the ability for these blood cells to clot. The good thing is that there are antidotes out there. Vitamin K is the one that we use. The next thing that I wanted to talk about are your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are labeled down as NSAIDs. Those go under your ibuprofen, your Aleve, as well as veterinary NSAIDs or anti-inflammatories. Giving your dog human drugs can potentially be very, very toxic to them. We see cats who owners say, you know, she was limping for a little bit, so I went ahead and gave her an ibuprofen, which causes liver toxicity in cats very, very easily. One of the clinical signs that we see with acetaminophen or an NSAID toxicity is a chocolate tongue on a cat. And I know it sounds very odd, but your cat will actually come in when it's toxic and have a brown tongue. As far as the veterinary side, Rimadyl is a very, very common NSAID that we will prescribe to dogs who are limping, have inflammation. And the good thing is that it works very good and it's very safe for your dog. The bad thing is that it tastes very good. I guess that's a bad thing, because if you leave it out, your dog can potentially eat the entire bottle, which then can lead us into kidney and liver damage as well. So be very, very cautious where you're keeping these medications once you give them to your dog. Put them up, because odds are they're going to want to take it, and if you leave it on a shelf and walk away, your pet may get up and eat the entire bottle. With the season coming up, we're going to see a lot of fleas and a lot of ticks coming out. It's been a very mild winter, so we're expecting a really big flea and tick problem this year. The over-the-counter medications are okay. I would be very careful with those. We do see a lot of toxicities with those coming in the door, especially people who buy dogs and say, I'll just put a little bit of my dog medication on my cat. Your cat is not a small dog, so just be careful when you're using that off-label like that. We do see a lot of cats come in with twitching, seizures, hypersalivation from having a dog flea control put on them. So be very careful, make sure you're reading the label correctly and using the appropriate size and species medications for these guys. So in conclusion, I really can't stress enough that some things that you think may be okay to give your pet potentially may not be, like the grapes that I spoke about, some of the over-the-counter flea medications. Make sure you're really reading the label on that. Again, if you should ever have any questions about a certain product, fertilizers, drugs, grapes, fruits, something that you may think that is good for your dog, please give us a call. That's why we're here. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. I'd much rather tell you, yes, this product is safe for your dog, than find out 2 hours later that it's not. So again, we're available all the time. If you ever have a question about any product that you may be using on your dog or food that you're giving your dog, please give us a call.